Karibu sana, Esther.
Thank you so much.
It's good to have you here where we fix the nation one conversation at a time. Today we are fixing matters of children and just trying to understand the most vulnerable in our society, how we take care of them. So we were told by the National Council for Children's Services that you are the implementer of Children Matters. But you know, let it come from the horse's mouth. Before you do that,
Yes.
Janet, please give her the day's quote.
Yes, I have the day's quote today. I've mentioned earlier that this is an Australian-born activist. She's an author. She's an international speaker. Her name is Christine Kane. And she said, sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but actually, you've been planted. What does that mean for you? How does that resonate with you?
It means that there is always hope. You may be in a dark place, but once you're buried, you can always grow. You can always grow. So there's always hope in everything, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never give up.
Yeah, you should never give up.
And sometimes when you see some of those children who, you know, you hear the journey of a child. Child was picked up in a garbage heap, and then they ended up in this facility, and sometimes they end up in a home, and you just see there's always hope, especially when it comes to children.
Yes.
So first things first, the Directorate of Children's Services. Kazi yenu ni nini?
We're implementers. So Kennedy said that they are regulators, they make the laws, the policies, and so for us as the Directorate of Children's Services, we implement those laws, we implement the policies. So our work is ensuring that we are doing prevention and response for all cases of children, so that they are not abused, and if they're abused, we respond to the cases of abuse.
So children officers are under the Directorate?
Yes, children officers are under the Directorate of Children's Services.
Okay.
Yes.
How many children officers do we have in the country?
Approximately now we have around 700 children officers.
700?
Yes.
In the entire landmass of the Republic of Kenya?
Yeah. Yes.
Is that sufficient?
No, it's not sufficient.
Okay.
Yes.
Why do we only have 700?
This number, we have children officers in all the counties and in all the sub-counties. We are still employing others through the Public Service Commission. So we are hopeful that we'll be able to get more children officers.
What would be a good ratio of children officers to the work that needs to be done?
We are hopeful that maybe we can have, like, in each sub-county, we have even 10 would be sufficient. Yes. Each sub-county to have 10.
Per sub-county?
Per sub-county.
We have approximately 290 odd sub-counties.
Yes.
So we should be having like 2,900 children. We have 700.
Yes.
Okay. You're under the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, is it?
Yes, I'm under the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection.
The State Department for Social Protection.
Yes.
Wanajua hii mambo yote?
Yes.
Wadosi wako. You know, it's important that sometimes we are just clear that Dr. Alfred Mutua understands as Minister for Labor and Social Protection that these are gaps that are there and have been documented.
Yes. He is aware, yes, that there are gaps in the number of children officers, but also I will be able to confirm the exact number of the children officer because I said approximately.
Yeah, of course,
so I'll be able to confirm maybe before the end of the show the exact number of the children's officers.
Don't worry, Esther, we're not putting you on the spot. We know the higher ups. We're just, you know,
just need the information.
to understand how we treat our children in this country.
Yes.
We see very many cases of people just posting on social media, if you've seen so-and-so, this is my child is lost. Or in other cases where you see, even in the news, that somebody picked up a baby, a newborn baby somewhere. There are very many cases of lost children.
Yes.
From the Directorate perspective, when a child is lost, what should happen?
Wow. When a child gets lost, the first thing, maybe let me start from how we define a lost child, and we'll begin first by the missing child. So for the missing child, we always say that it's a child whose whereabouts is unknown, One, by the parents, two, by the guardians or the responsible parties. So within the missing child, we have a lost and found child. And this is a child who maybe they went with the mother to the market or to the shopping, and this child just got lost. Then we have another category that we call the runaways. These are children who run away from home because of the situations that they are facing. So at home, their parents do not know their whereabouts, but they've run away from home. And then we have the other category of the trafficked, the abducted, the stolen ones that are, and these cases are normally criminal in nature. So, and then with these three categories of missing children, we have now the lost, the lost ones that they go to the market and then they get lost. So maybe to start with
There's another category.
Yes.
The one where a parent deliberately, I'm looking for the word.
Yeah.
Let's just say
Yes.
abandoned.
Yes.
Now for that one, we consider it as a found child, because the parent maybe knows exactly what he did or what she did. But now it's for us now to trace where that parent is. But for the missing child, we do not know where the child is. But for the child, for the found child, we do not know where the parent is.
Okay.
So that's the distinction.
And
Yes.
if a member of the public finds a missing or lost child, what are they supposed to do next? Is it the police? Is it a child protection officer? Where do they go?
Okay. The first thing that once a child is found, with a lost child has been found, as a public person or a Wanjiko, the first thing that you should do is try to find out this child, what's the name, where you come from, and then also asking the whereabouts. Do an initial assessment whether maybe there's somebody who has lost a child, especially if you're in a mall or in the streets. Then the next thing that you should do is you need to report to the police officer or to the nearest police station, and also to the children's officer. So one thing that we need to do with the found children is that an occurrence, the report must be made in the occurrence book that this child has been found wearing this kind of clothes. This is a child approximately this age. So once the police officer, or once the case is recorded to the police in the police station, a children's officer is normally called. And the children's officer will now come and interview this child and try to find out if this child can be taken or if this child is able to understand where he or she comes from. So if, for instance, this child is not aware or cannot recall where he or she comes from, then the children's officer will first assess whether this child first needs psychological support, welfare, or food. And then also we have a child protection information management system. So the children officer will look at this system to find out whether this child has been recorded within our child protection information management system, and whether
recorded
this is
as missing.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, as a missing child.
Okay.
And then also now try to find out what to do next. So for instance, if this child has contact for the parents, the children's officer will try to reach out to them. If not, this child will now be placed in a safe alternative care system. So one, this child can go to a rescue center. Two, this child can be placed within or can be placed with a foster care or a responsible party. Again, also within the police stations, we have child protection units. And these child protection units sometimes hold this child for a few hours until the child or the parent is found.
Right. Child protection units. Are police officers trained on dealing with minors? And the basics of keeping them separate from adults, is that common knowledge, or is it something that we struggle with? Because we often see cases of missing children or even children who are arrested for one reason or the other being kept with adults?
Most of the police stations are trained. We have officers who specifically deal with child protection matters within most police stations and even gender issues.
Okay.
So you'll find that most police stations are trained.
They'll have so usually within the gender desk that they'll have a child protection or a police officer who's trained in child protection.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What's some of the major reasons why a lot of children are, it's a big question, but they're getting lost, abandoned? There's so much around child safety.
Yes.
I'm wondering if you're seeing any patterns now that are different from previously, and what's behind these patterns? Because I think getting to the root allows us to find out how to protect the children. So what sort of the patterns are informing children getting lost or kidnapped or abandoned?
Number one, I think it's family breakdown. You'll get that most of the children, especially the runaway categories that run away from home, is because there's a lot of family breakdown, family breakdown. And so as a child, if a child is suffering from at home, this child may decide to just run away from home. Again, the other reason, and this can be also because of also poverty, even abuse. If a child is being abused at home, this child is likely to run away from home. Then in cases of the lost, just like a normal person, when you go to a mall and you get lost, even children get lost. So for that, you find that most of them, they don't know the basics. You'll find that most of the children that we are raising, we are telling them, they know us as mom, dad, and then we call them kababa, kamama. You know, we don't give them the actual life skills on what to do in case we get separated. If we're in the we've gone to church and we are in the market and we are separated. So you find that most of them, they may not be aware of the basic life skills that they should have. The other thing is on the issue of abduction, kidnapping, that is also on the rise. And this is also a reason as to why some children go missing. Yeah.
If you just look at the cases, just focusing on the abductions, stolen children, the trafficking of children.
Yes.
We say it's on the rise.
Yes.
Now, where do trafficked children end up?
Now, that's, yes.
Another crude way of asking, what's the market for trafficked children?
So, the market for trafficked children, one, they go to child labor. They are the children that you'll find involved in child labor activities.
Where?
Two,
In country?
some in country and other outside the country. Two, others are also, you know, there are cases of parents or people who may not be having children. So you find that they may not want to undergo the whole process of adoption. And so you'll find that some of these children are stolen or they're even sold so that parents or somebody like a lady like me, if I don't have children, it's easier to pay maybe 500,000 or 200,000 and I get a child. And maybe that is also where some of these children go. Again, also, not trafficked, but the lost children, most of them end up in charitable children institutions. And this charitable children institution, you'll find that we do not have a specific way of connecting them with the parents. This child, maybe this child was found in, had gone to Kakamega to travel or to visit a relative. Then she or he loses the mother. Then at Kakamega, and this child has come from Nairobi, this child is now placed in a children's home in Kakamega. So the process of tracing And especially if maybe this child does not have contact or anything. The process of now tracing this child who is in Kakamega to a parent maybe who is in Kiambu makes the process to take long.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. That particular sounds like a dysfunctional government. I'll come back to that shortly. Because, I mean, if I went with my child to Kakamega and I lost my child in Kakamega, the child is in a children's home in Kakamega, and I reported my child missing in a Kakamega police station, and the child has been found by a children's officer who has taken them to surely. Anyway, I want to come back to this criminal aspect of trafficking of children.
Right.
And you're saying that it's on the rise. So are we saying that many of these cases are people who are not able to get children and they're seeking to buy children that are on the rise? Or are we saying that there is a market for stealing children in Kenya and transporting them out of country to go and be used as slaves and sexual laborers elsewhere? Or is there a rise in people buying children in Kenya to use for child labor? As in mtu amenunua mtoto apeleke kwa shamba?
No. Yes. But before I respond to that, let me first respond to your earlier question.
The government dysfunctional one.
Yes,
Okay.
It's not dysfunctional. Kennedy mentioned that we have some institutions that are not registered. So these institutions that are not registered may host some of the children, because sometimes these children are not taken to the police station. For instance, if a child is found by a well-wisher, yes, and this well-wisher says, oh, I know a children's home that maybe can take care of this child. So maybe this child is now taken to an unregistered home, where as the government, we may not be aware that this child is in that home. So that now complicates the issue.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes, that's why we are moving away from institutional care.
Teacher, excuse me.
Yes.
Everybody else in this village
Yes.
knows that Eric is running a children facility. He's taking in children and supporting children,
Yes.
right? Eric is not even at trafficking children. He's just supporting children.
Yes.
Everybody else knows. And that's why when Janet picked a child, Janet thought to bring the child to me.
Yes.
But you're telling me the chief does not know. And that's how come the government does not know. Dysfunction. Let's come back to trafficking of children. That one we can deal with it a bit later and a bit longer, because it just talks about how we can address these gaps, right? And it will also we'll also address those gaps when you identify as well the rising number of criminal cases where children are being trafficked.
Yes.
Right? So I was asking the question of what is it that you see as a rise in? Is it a rise in people actually wanting to buy children for labor, wanting to buy children to export them out of the country to sell, or wanting to buy children because I'm unable to get a child?
No. The rise that you are seeing is on the number of children who go missing. So I may not be very clear on exactly whether they are buying them to, whether they are being bought or whether they are being bought for child labor or so forth. That one may not be very clear. But what we are seeing is that we have a high number of children who are going missing.
Right.
Yes.
Could it be that the increase is because of better reporting procedures,
Yes.
or maybe the numbers have been the same, it's just that people weren't reporting? So is it an increase in missing children or an increase in reported missing children?
The one, there is the issue of reporting, yes. Initially, once, sometimes back when there was no social media, when people were not even aware about their rights, the reported cases were very minimal. But now people are aware. People know that we need to go to report to the children's office. We need to go to the police. So the awareness level has increased. And also the fact that now this information is now being captured within our different systems that we have.
All right.
Yeah.
From a protection point of view, where these children goes will inform how to deal with the issue of missing children.
Yes.
When it's, for example, getting lost, when it's issues of, family breakdown, those are also things that can be addressed from a structural point.
Yes.
But what's being done to deal with, for example, people who are buying children, who are trafficking children, so on to fight that end of the problem?
Okay, so now once somebody buys a child, now that becomes a criminal case.
Yes.
So the whole criminal procedures must be put in place. So if somebody is found to have bought a child, then that case must be taken to court and this person must be charged. And then all efforts must be made to ensure that we get the parent of this child who was probably stolen or sold. Yeah.
Right. Usually with criminals like this, it's an organized ring. It's criminal syndicates. There's levels of organization. Have we seen that in Kenya as far as trafficking children and selling children? Are there organized syndicates?
I believe they are. There's there, but we also within the Directorate of Children's Services we have a section that deals with trafficking of children and persons, a whole secretariat, and they are able to provide even social support for these for children who have been trafficked. Yes.
Time for a break. When you come back, we continue this conversation of missing children. Where do they go? And what's the process? If you find a child and you look at this child, you can see clearly that they've been separated from their parent or guardian. And what do you do with that child? When you see very many cases of people reporting, my child has gone missing, what should you do if your child goes missing? These are the questions we're asking Esther Mugure, who's a child protection officer with the Directorate of Children's Services. This is the government institution that is in charge of implementing all matters of children. All children officers in the country are under this directorate. We'll be back shortly on Nation FM, NTV, and on all our social media platforms. Ask your questions. We'll pose them to Esther. That our conversation continues with Esther Mugure, who is from the Directorate of Children's Services. We're talking about missing children. Where do they go? And before we went to the break, we teased this question. So, if your child goes missing, what should you do? You had asked this question earlier, Janet, but let's just come back into it. Okay, so you're with your child in a mall, in a market, by the bus stop, kwa nyumba, child goes missing, right? What should you do immediately?
Okay, thank you for that. Once a child goes missing, I think that is the most traumatic event that you'll face because you're confused, you're wondering where your child is. But one of the key things that we say that it's good to at least to remain calm so that you're able to even explain exactly what your child was wearing, the particulars about this child. So the first thing that once your child goes missing, the first thing that you should do is first try to find out, to just find out in the nearby vicinity whether this child has gone to the neighbors or this child maybe was playing with their friends. Then immediately that you cannot trace this child, the next thing you should do is you should report to the police station. One key thing that sometimes we fail is that we wait. We say, no, we have to wait for 48 hours. With children matters, you don't wait for 48 hours. You have the mandate, you can report immediately that my child is missing. So once you report to the to the police station, then you should be able to provide information about this child. What is the age of this child? Do you even have a photograph of this child? And a recent photograph. What was this child wearing? Does this child have a birthmark? What are the circumstances that led maybe to this child? All this information must be given to the police so that they can be able to get or to ensure that they have all the information. So once this information is given, then also they're supposed to liaise with the children's officer, and the children's officer is also supposed now to help and see if such a missing child had been reported, and if such a child is in a charitable children institutions. So there are cases whereby you'll find that this child is in a charitable children institution. Because, you know, sometimes people delay in the reporting. And one key thing that we want to encourage is that we need to ensure that we report as early as possible. We should not delay and say, no, we have to wait for a particular time of period to pass. And then also now, once this child is now missing, we liaise with other organizations. We work closely with the Missing Child Kenya. So we work with them to ensure that we have posters that are developed for this missing child, And this child is now put on in the media so that in case somebody has seen this child, they will be able to communicate with them. And I mean, in case this child has been seen, we're able to get that information and also work with the police officers. So once this child is now found, then again the case must also be reported to the police officer. I think one of the key things that, or one of the gaps that we have, is that most of the time when some of these children are found, they don't go back to the police station to say, oh, we found our child, or they don't go back to the children's office to say, now
so it remains an open case.
It remains an open case. So that's one of the gaps that we are facing.
Is there a number for reporting missing children?
We work with 116. We also encourage people to use 999, the police hotline. Yes, those are the key numbers that we use. Missing Child Kenya also has its own line that one can use to report the cases. Yes.
I want to ask.
Yes.
Do the police have an age limit where they consider a child? When you come there, my child is missing. Is a 3-year-old treated the same as an 11-year-old, as an 18-year-old? And, okay, 18 is adult, according to the law.
Yes.
17.
Yeah, but somebody who is 18 or 19 and they're still living in my home, they're still my child. And if they go missing, we see very many cases here of people actually reporting that this is my child who's gone missing. How old? 18 and a half, 19, 20. So is there like an area where the police will say, who you past 18, we've got to do the 24-hour. This one is below 18, it's immediate.
Do we take, oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so for the children, and that is 18 years and below, sometimes there's the issue of age. Because like if a 4-year-old goes missing and a 14-year-old goes missing, the risks and the vulnerability are higher for some cases as opposed to some cases. But the reporting time is still the same. You should, whether the child is 17.5 or the child is 4 days old, there should be no waiting time for reporting of the cases. Now, for the 18 and 19 cases, I think that follows now the adult procedure that maybe you have to remain for 48 hours before the case is reported. But for children, it is immediate. Yeah.
There's the issue of the schools or the institutions where children are committed.
Yeah.
They're called approved schools. Nowadays, you have a different name for them?
Right. Yes, we have rehabilitation schools. The government institutions are called statutory institutions. So we have rehabilitation schools, we have rescue centers. Yeah. We
have Boniface Mwangi on the line, and he has a question on along the lines of rehabilitation and these institutions. Boniface, good morning.
Morning, Boniface.
Hello. Good morning. How are you doing?
Very well, thanks, Boniface. How are you doing?
Kwa salama kabisa.
Thanks for calling in. I think because we actually had this news yesterday on our news fix. How are you doing?
Much better than 2 weeks ago. Kwa salama.
Okay. Now you have a question to Esther.
Actually, a number of questions. So I grew up in a approved school. I was arrested in 1995. And I joined approved school in 95 to 98. I went to Othaya approved school. Then I went to Kapete approved school before I left. Now, since 2004, Kabete High School was closed. So which means that if you're arrested and taken to approved school, or which is now rehab school, when you reach class 8, they kick you out. If you're an orphan or a run-up... Hello?
Go ahead.
Can I start again? Sorry.
No, we can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. I'm just saying what has actually happened in the past, that the approved schools are now closed. As they're not closed, they're under capacity. So they're not funded. And so the reason why you have a lot of street kids in Nairobi, because the police have not take them. They used to, when I was arrested, I could be taken to court and then to a rehab school. Nowadays, the police say the rehab schools are not functional and they're underfunded. That is number one. Number two, my question was, if you go to a rehab school and you're in class 2 or class 3, when you reach class 8 and you're an orphan or you need care and protection, what happens to you? And the last question is, the land that was set aside for expansion of approved schools or rehab schools, as they call them today, has been either grabbed or assigned to other government institutions. Like where I went to school, Kabete, the land is being to this affordable housing. So you have so many street kids and nowhere to take them. What's the government's plan on this, on people like me who need protection and care, like, or rather I needed back then?
All right.
Yes.
Thank you, Boniface. And I think even in the next hour, we'd like to hear from you, because we'll be talking to somebody who also grew up in a care home, just to get your perspective and your experience in growing up in such a home. But let Esther answer these questions, and then we'll get back to you on this. So,
all right, thank you.
The care, the continuum of care, when somebody is taken into these institutions.
Yes. The government's approach has been that if you're taken to either a rehabilitation school or a rescue center, or even a rescue center, is that your stay there should be minimal, because we want you to stay within the family. So in case of a child who is committed to a rehabilitation school, the committal is normally for 3 years. And sometimes also there are times when it's made for 1 year, depending on the age of the child. And also sometimes there are extensions of the 3 years. But we are moving away from that. So for the continuum of care, once this child committal periods elapses, then this child is supposed to be taken back to the community. Most of the children who are taken to the rehabilitation centers are mainly those children in conflict with the law. So within those 3 years, you're supposed to have help this child to, maybe if this child had some issues,
is to rehabilitate
to rehabilitate this child, and then take this child back to the community. Take this child back to the family care. And that's where now we are looking at the options of if there's a grandmother, if there's aunties who can take care of this child if the parents are not there. So normally it's not kicking out. It's a process that is normally done. You're not, the gate is not just opened and you're told, now go home, your 3 years have passed.
But you start trying to identify how the reintegration and rehabilitation happens, because if leaving it too late, there's always an assumption that the extended family will be found and take this child in, but that's not guaranteed. Maybe they're like, no, we're already overwhelmed. So at what point do you begin to think through, when you say community, where is this child going to end up? Is it going to be a relative? Is it going to be the homes which I suppose are being phased out? Is it going, what is it? How do you begin that process? When do you begin that process?
The process, actually, once that child is committed to a rehabilitation school, the process immediately begins, because you have to develop a care plan for this child. So once this child is in the institution, you have to know this child will stay for this period of time. So what is the care plan? How do we ensure that that once this child leaves the institution, that this child will be able to fit back into the community, and especially for those in conflict with the law. So normally we do environmental adjustment reports. We have children's officer will visit the home to find out the situation of the home. We even have case conferencing with the parents, with the families, to find out now that this situation is like this, are you able to accept this child? So in case now the parents or the guardians are not willing to support, we look for the extended family. Yes.
Okay.
So that's how we handle it.
We have another fixer on the line, Paul in Nairobi. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning to you.
Thank you for calling. You've got a question?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
One, let me say that I'm glad for this kind of conversation. And to me, I think this is one of the saddest, thing that I'm hearing when the government says that they are going to close institutional care. I wonder whether this is something they have thought through or an idea they have bought from somewhere else that they want to implement in our nation. Why am I saying this? One, let me say that I'm an adoptive parent, so I've adopted 2 children. When you go to children homes, you find that the highest number of kids there are abandoned children. Nobody knows where their families are. So when I hear one of the officers who was there earlier say that there are cases where you have a family taking their child into an institutional care for them to be given some help, it is a bit bothering. That's number one. So when you say that you are closing institutional care, where are you going to take the 45,000 children? I think that the government is assuming that these children, all of them have families. My children, the children that I adopted, even after them staying in a children home for 6 months and due diligence being done to confirm whether they have any relations, they didn't have. So where do you take these children?
Thank you,
and I
Paul.
would want to ask the officers in the studio for them, ask them now, how many children are they willing to take so that they can give them the family care? That's something that needs to be looked into, not just jumped into because it has worked in some other countries. Our context does not allow that foster care.
Paul, thank you. Also, remember Kennedy saying that this is it's a phased approach, and the idea is to have as many children coming into as many as Paul's homes as possible, and not staying in this facility. What's your view on that?
Well, I would encourage as many. Parents or Kenyans to go for the children because, of course, the best environment is family. But the circumstances we are in, you find that it is not possible. Because even the people you are telling to go and get these children are also struggling.
All right. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kennedy did speak to the fact that 87% of those in homes in homes do have family or someone who could take care of them. But I don't know if Paul's lived experience on the ground is differing from that. But I think you should maybe speak to his questions. And also, Boni had asked something about the issue of land grabbing for some of these rehabilitation schools. He says, like Kabete approved now, is no longer existent. Did he say that? Yeah.
It's there, but a portion of it is being used for other projects, like affordable housing.
Like affordable housing.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. So the process of closing the homes, as my colleague had said, it's gradual. We are not closing the home tomorrow. It's a gradual process where we want to ensure that children go back to the society. Again, when you look at the Children's Act, we have, it talks about rescue centers, and rescue centers for children who need care and protection for temporary care. So some of these abandoned children may go to the rescue centers, and these rescue centers that are government owned. And in terms of the land grabbing, I'd not call it land grabbing. Remember, we are all one government. The government is one, and the rehabilitation school is still there. There is land that is there. It still runs. So I would like to stop at that and just mention that the rehabilitation school is there, and there is the children are there. There is land that has been left for them. So on the land grabbing, let me.
Ends there.
Yes.
Who's in charge of those schools? These rehab schools and the statutory institutions?
We have managers of the institutions who are children's officers.
So it's under the Directorate?
Yes, it's within the Directorate of Children's Services.
So does the Directorate have title deeds for these, or is it just public land that's under government hands? Why I'm asking that is, leave alone government coming up with another project within the land. It's other people. Land grabbing is a sport in this country. Other people just seeing a piece of land and deciding we're going to move in here.
Yeah, so we have some institutions. In total, we have 30 statutory institutions. We have some that have titles. Others, we are in the process of getting their titles. Yes. Yeah.
I'm really trying to allow myself to lean into the fact that this is a gradual process.
Yes.
But I'm concerned because on the one hand, there seems to be a matter of overwhelm, 700 child protection officers with an overwhelming number of children to look out for. Even these issues around land grabbing, they're pretty valid just in terms of, okay, if you closed one, what happens after class 8? How are you integrating the children? So I think my question, in short, is what kind of capacity is needed now to allow for this transition? Because right now it sounds, even though you're saying it's 2032, it's 10 years, the concerns around how transitions happen in Kenya doesn't also foster a lot of confidence in the public. It sounds like there's under-resource. I don't know that people feel like you guys understand the gravitas of missing children, children in children's homes. So the empathy factor, the resource factor, the capacity factor, all of these still, maybe that's why Paul's and Boniface and all the people in the comment section are just like, just leave the homes, because at least we're sure where they are. So how do you reconcile all of these doubts, and how do you speak to especially things around resourcing and capacity to do this, to transition?
Okay, thank you. I think one of the key things that within the ministry that maybe we need to focus on is the issue of social protection for these vulnerable children. And maybe if we have these children being put under social protection, then we would not have them in the institution, because as Kennedy mentioned, most of them go there because of poverty. So if we are able to provide good social protection, good mechanisms that prevent violence against children at home, then we would not be having these institutions. The issue of capacity, we've talked about that we have around 700. We also work very closely with we have child protection volunteers within our system, within the Directorate of Children's Services, that we work together. But then again, the issue of resources is key, because the number, as we mentioned, may not be sufficient, and also the resources are not sufficient enough. Yeah.
Okay, so sort out child protection to prevent the need for children to be in homes.
Yes. Okay. If we are able to address that, then we would not have so many children in the institutions. Yeah.
I think the focus that we ought to have as a nation is on these social issues, because we don't give much focus. We look, and that's how we judge our leaders, by how much bursary they've given, how many schools they've built, how many hospitals have been built. But does your MP know that there's a Children Act? Does your MP know that there is this strategy that went through all the levels of government? Has your MP interacted with this strategy? Are they able to oversight that this strategy is now being implemented in the right way possible, that there is proper resourcing for such a strategy to go through? Or if there are questions and issues emerging, that those ones are actually identified early? Kennedy said that there have been 3 years of a pilot.
In some
Has
counties.
your MP interacted with the report of the pilot? Shida yetu kubwa, Parliament Road. Anyway, Esther, thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, can I give some
Please.
closing remarks? Yes.
Please do.
Yes, with the Directorate of Children's Services, we are marking the International Missing Children's Day. It's normally marked on May 25th, but this year we'll mark it on 23rd of May because the 25th will fall on a Sunday. So one of the key things that we're doing is we are running an art competition for children to participate in terms of how to prevent and respond to cases of missing children. The poster is out. We will also be having a social work conference. It's a half-day event. It's one step at a time that we'll be focusing on the issue of missing children with the academics, the students, so that we just get also a feel of them. We get their information on what we can do better in terms of preventing and responding to cases of missing children.
Okay. I hope you'll integrate public participation beyond the art, which is great, but just getting views from a vast number of members of society to try and tackle this issue collectively.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Esther Mugure, Child Protection Officer at the Directorate of Children's Services, has been our guest. Our next guest is
Boniface Maya. He's the chairperson for the Kenya Society of Caregivers, and like we said, we will start with what is a caregiver before we get into his experience growing up, of course, in an institutional home, and we'll also hopefully hear from Boni and see how it affects children, what they think of the proposition to phase out homes, and of course go into family and into family and community-based care. Hashtag continues to be Fixing the Nation and TV. We'll be back after this.